fly tiers, welcome to the fly desk. This is Aaron with the Fanaticals channel, and today we're going to do a video on some of my favorite Stillwater patterns. And so this video we're gonna start with what I call the Eastons Magic, but this is the improved version. I have found that when I tie this fly, I like using the curved hooks like the Daiichi 1270s, and this fly can imitate a minnow, it can imitate a leech. I don't know what it is about this fly, but the fish go crazy for it. One of the biggest tiger trout I've ever caught. He's a 6-pound tiger trout. He was about 25 inches long, and he gobbled up this fly when nothing else was working. So first thing we're gonna do is we're going to put a black tail on this one. So I've got a clump of marabou right here, and what I like to do is use the soft part of the marabou. So that's this part right here. This part is quite a bit stiffer. I've showed you that in some of my other videos. But I grab about an inch of that clump, and I just kind of bunch it up and cut it off even, and then I lay that right up against my bead. I've talked to you a lot about taper, and that is the reason, is I want this fly to taper up towards the bead. And then I tear my marabou. I don't cut it. When you cut it, it does not look natural, and it's just kind of a very sharp, unnatural look. But when you tear the feathers, then especially in the water, you get a nice, even, natural tapered look. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of flashabou on this. Got stuck to my marabou. And typically this is just a pearl, a little bit of pearl flash. And I will cut that, and I'll cut it about 1/8 of an inch longer. Whoops, don't have that on very tight. About 1/8 of an inch longer than my marabou tail. Cut that off. So you can see I've got two little flashy parts of this tail. I'll simply wrap that up to the front, like so. Okay, now what I like to do is get some kind of flashy black or peacock black dubbing. This dubbing is made by Spirit River, and it's called UV2 Silex Ice Dubbing in black stone. And so what we'll do is we're going to take out quite a big clump of this, about like that. Now, I've talked to you about the thread I use. I use a pre-waxed 3/0 monocord thread. And by doing that and using the pre-waxed thread, I no longer have to use a dubbing loop. So I'll simply just taper this on and roll it. This is kind of a cool product because I got some purples, I got some black, a lot of black, got a little bit of red, a little bit of pink. Lots of different colors in that fly. So once I get it to this point, I'm actually going to start brushing it out a little bit. And that's the one nice thing about using dubbing on these flies, is I can brush the heck out of it, and the more I brush it, the better it looks. And so this fly is a great alternative to a woolly bugger because you get the same kind of buggy look, but you don't have to worry about it coming apart as much as a normal woolly bugger fly would. Okay, the next thing I like to do, and this has kind of been a trademark of the famous Denny Rickards, but he uses a lot of these burnt olive grizzly hackles on his fly, and I have grown to love this color. I don't know what it is, but I don't put a lot of it on my flies, but I put usually just on the front, just 2 or 3 wraps, like so. And it seems to trigger a lot more strikes than if I don't use it. So right now it looks pretty unconventional and ugly, so what I'll do is I will actually wrap my thread through that hackle to strengthen it. Then I will pull it back like that. Now I've got a little more of a sleek look on that fly. Now you can tie this with just regular black thread, and when you do that, it matches better. It looks, you know, a lot more conventional, but I found if I put either a red or a hot orange collar on these flies, I just simply have better luck with it. So I've now whip finished it. I'm now gonna pull just a little bit more of this dubbing out, kind of comb it over. Just make it look more and more buggy. And that, my friends, is one of the hottest flies that we tie here at the fly desk, especially during the springtime. So I got some of this red UV glue. I'm actually going to try it on this fly and put it right around my collar and just see how it looks. Spin it around. Came out a little bit fast. And I actually really like that look. So that, my friends, is the improved version of the Eastons Magic. It's a super hot fly in the still waters of our area. So we're gonna jump right from this to, I'm gonna go ahead and use our orange thread on it. So we're gonna go ahead and pull our thread back. Whoops, not that far. Just about to there, to where we're right at the barb of the hook. And on this fly, we're going to be doing Marabou Tail. This is Sculpin Olive, and this fly works very well in both early spring and into the summer, because the later on we get into the summer, the more it starts to look like a damselfly. And so on this, typically I will do quite a bit shorter of a tail. And kind of the same look as our black one. This one, we're going to put some pearl crystal flash in there. Just a couple little strands. One on each side. Wrap that up to the front. Like I said, I cut it off just a little bit longer. Okay, and then on this one, we grab our dubbing box. So on this one we're going to be using, it's called semi-sealed dubbing. This one is a golden olive color. And what we're going to do is just roll that onto our thread. Oops. Sometimes you got to keep rolling. Get your taper right. And on this one, when I'm using the orange thread, I don't actually use the orange grizzly hackle on all of them. On some I do, but on this one, what I simply do is I wrap extra dubbing on the front of this fly, and then I comb the heck out of it. So you can see I've got a little bit of that orange color on there. Grab my whip finisher. So you don't have to put a lot of orange on this fly. I just have just a little bit, and then I pull out my dubbing brush and I start combing. And what happens is some of that orange thread that I've tied this actually starts to expose. And the fish in our area love the orange color. I'll just kind of pull it out. And so you can see right through here, I've got some of that orange thread exposed. And I don't know what it is, but the fish like that orange color in our area especially. So now what I'll do is I will get some UV glue once again. And this time I'm just going to use clear. Hold it back. We'll dab it on that fly. Find my light. Spin it around. Just a little bit underneath. And that, my friends, is a very, very good leech pattern for stillwater applications. You can also fish it in a river and strip it through deep holes, and it'll imitate a little minnow swimming. That marabou really dances in the current. And this fly, very, very effective. I've enjoyed fishing with it, and we fished with it a lot. Okay, so we'll take that out. You're getting a special episode on this YouTube video. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a balanced version of our Eastons Magic. And so I'll pull out our tungsten beads. I wanted to do this video all in one so you can have a 3-fly arsenal, not have to skip through a bunch of videos. So I am just using a little sequin pin. This one's a 1/2 inch long, and then I've got my tungsten bead. And so on this one, I'm going to put the sequin pin, through the big hole. Hopefully you can see that. Each bead has a little hole in the big hole, so I'm going to put this through the big hole. And then what we're going to do is on this one I'm going to use, I'm just going to use orange thread on this. So I cover my whole hook when I'm tying a balanced fly with my thread. So when I attach the sequin pin, it's got something to grab onto. So then I take my sequin pin and I put it about between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch above my fly, or not my fly, my eye of my hook. And I just wrap it super tight. Actually go right up against that pin, come back. So you can see that's about 1/4 inch ahead of that. Now what I like to do, and a lot of people don't do this step, but I like to get some super glue and just dab it on here with a little brush. Just to make it that much stronger. I'll wrap it over one more time. You spend so much time tying a fly, I don't like them coming apart. So on this one, we're going to use some black marabou. Whoops. Well, I keep hitting our camera. Sorry about that. Okay, and I'll just lay this on. And on this, I'm not going to worry a whole lot about getting it all the way up to the bead, because what I'm going to do is I'll taper it at the end with my dubbing. So you can see I tore that marabou off. I've got a nice healthy clump there. And now what we'll do is we'll put a couple of strands of crystal flash. and cut them just a little bit longer than your marabou, like so. Oops, focused on my hand, my fingers, just a little bit longer like that. Okay, so now we're at that point. I'm going to pull out some dubbing. Now this thread is called Ultra thread, and I don't think it's waxed, and so it is a little bit harder to use dubbing on. However, it still works just fine. Just don't be afraid to stop halfway through and twist it again. Okay, so you can see I just kind of wrapped around the little eye of the hook right there. Now what I'll do is get a little bit of my grizzly hackle, and I'll just tie it in right there. Just a couple wraps is all we need. And then we'll wrap it through. Then I pull it back, and we're going to make a nice little collar on this guy. Like so. Then we will pull out our trusty whip finisher that may have been buried in all of our other materials. I hate it when that happens. There it is. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some of this red over the orange, because why not? Never done it before. We're going to see how it looks. It definitely colors that thread. That thread absorbed all of that glue. But there's nothing wrong with that red look, I can tell you right now. So now I'm just gonna put it all around so it ties in real nice. I'll just take that light, go all around the fly. It kind of looks cool on that dubbing. Makes one of those colors pop. Okay, last step of this fly is we get our trusty little hardware store brush, and I want to brush it until I can start seeing some of that orange thread popping through a little bit. There it is. Okay, so that, my friends, is a balanced version of this fly that we tied earlier. And what makes it balanced is you can see the eye of our hook is right there. And so that is actually going to hang perpendicular in the water. And so both of those flies I call the improved Eastons Magic, and they are guaranteed to catch fish. I really like how that red UV glue looks at the head of that fly. I think it gives it a really neat look. So those are 3 of my favorite flies. I'm just gonna go ahead and that would have been cool if it would have stayed. There you go. 3 of my favorite flies. Man, that's awesome. How about that? My favorite Stillwater flies, sorry. And we have caught a lot of fish and some big fish on each one of these patterns. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of the Fanaticals Stillwater Special. And hopefully you can mimic some of these flies, maybe add your own little parts to it. That's what's awesome about fly tying, is everything I've done, I've just grabbed different ideas from different fly tyers and made it my own. So thank you for watching today, and we hope to see you on the water sometime. Thank you.